7, 8, 9, 10. Keep going. 11.
When you know that years ago, some declared your life all but over, your death months away,
6, 7.
and you showed them you could survive anyway, then you've earned a smile as broad as Ade's.
Good, really good.
How does it feel when you do that?
Very good.
Yeah?
Very good. It makes me
This
stronger.
one goes
I
right
love it.
across to this. So twist your body.
Hers is a life full of surprises. The worst, collapsing years ago, learning she had HIV, that infection was coursing through her brain. The best, that doctors would save her
That is Prince Harry.
and she'd live to make a prince of a friend.
He was kissing me and hugging me.
He's been back again and again to see Ade and the others at the Mildmay Clinic for those struggling with HIV.
To bring it out to the public eye, I think that's really quite key for him.
Carrie Reeves-Knipp has been by his side every time.
One of the patients that I took him to was very ill, and he was quite shocked to see somebody that ill in this day and age with HIV in this country.
These encounters have history. Prince Harry in the same place, in the same way as his mother. Diana started coming here in the late 80s. Think of it. There she was, clutching the hands of the very ill at a time when fear was so acute, people were throwing bricks through the Mildmay windows.
People were losing their jobs.
Julian Labastide was a nurse here.
People were having AIDS scribbled on their doors with like graffiti if people noticed that they looked unwell.
For Diana to be so loving with the likes of this man, Martin, whose own family wanted nothing to do with him, who would ship back his letters with return to sender, is really something.
She touched him, she kissed him, and again, it just exploded across the world.
When this photograph went public in the media, his mother came to visit Martin and they reconciled.
It was just in time. Martin died 2 weeks later. Diana is everywhere here. And now that it's her son who shows up, it's the spirit of her he sometimes seems to look for.
He loves to hear the stories of her visits here.
Carrie tells of a miraculous woman who had met Diana as an ill child but survived. Harry had questions for her.
She said to Prince Harry, I remember cuddling up to her on her lap and how soft and comfortable it was. And he said, I remember that well.
And of course he would. His memories are the frozen ones of a child, just 12 with those clenched fists walking behind the casket of his mother. For that personal loss to be so public has, as he has now said so forcefully, marked him.
When you're that young and something like that happens to you, I think it's lodged in your heart and your head, and it stays there for a very, very long time. At that point, I was still, I wasn't there. I was still in shock.
The overwhelming displays of public sorrow have been gone for decades now. But the effect of those surreal moments has stayed.
On one level, I felt furious that so many people were crying and screaming and yelling about someone they didn't know.
Julia Samuel has a long relationship with both grief and the royals.
On another level, it felt completely appropriate that everybody did, because that's what we were all feeling.
She was a friend of Diana's, is close to her sons. She's also a psychotherapist who's written extensively on grief's grip in Grief Works.
Grief is messy, and it's chaotic, and it feels like the weather, and it comes and hits you when you don't expect it.
By his own admission, it's hit Harry especially hard. The lashing out, acting out of his teens and 20s was, it seems, his way of not dealing with it. On the princes, Samuel is quite private, but she cannot hide her pride that their decision to eventually be open about their loss has made a difference for the entire country.
They have shifted the dial in our understanding of the importance of mental health and seeking support.
What does that actually look like?
More people have been ringing all the helplines. More people have been seeking support, particularly young men. Between them, they have really helped save people's lives.
We're already working with our partner charities and thousands of people to change the way that we think about mental health.
This seems one of Samuel's larger lessons about grief, that opening up is freeing. She sees what others do, that just as the public were invested in Harry's grief, they seem to now be rooting for his happiness.
He has found a way of loving, of being loved, of having hope for his future, of knowing that he has his responsibilities and that he can make a difference, and that he can just be himself. And I think that's what connects everybody to him, that he feels so genuine, and Diana was the same way.
My mother campaigned to draw attention to the horrific and indiscriminate impact of landmines.
And what mattered to her, clearly now, by design or default, is what matters to him. Almost all the charities he's thrown himself into reflect her causes too.
Those who knew her say Diana understood perfectly exactly the measure of her power, her ability to drag the world's media by the camera lenses towards the people and the causes she found important, draw the light, and then divert it. That is a lesson that stuck.
And that's the secret sauce behind some of the wedding plans. Instead of gifts, the couple wants donations for specific charities, like Chiva, dedicated to kids living with HIV and the stigma it brings.
Does anyone want a break?
The volunteers of this tiny group had no idea this was coming, and does it ever matter?
No breaks out. Okay.
The fact that there will be children brought out of isolation because of possible funds that have come from the wedding just opens up someone's world in an incredible way that I wish I would have been able to do when I was a lot younger.
This is personal. Mercy Naglube was born with HIV, wasn't told until she was a teen, and even then was advised to keep it quiet.
Don't tell anybody because it's not going to be accepted in society. You know, it was just like, okay, like, why are you telling me this? What do I do with the information if I'm not supposed to tell anyone? Do I just, like, sit with it? I don't know. And yeah, so I just didn't talk about it.
So she lived two lives, hanging out with university friends who knew nothing about it. Then on the weekends, volunteering with kids with HIV far away. The worlds didn't meet, and it worked until she got a call.
So this is the Diana's Legacy Award. So it has
She'd won the Diana Award for young people who step up, an honor, but to accept, she'd have to open up.
They couldn't just give it to you, right? It meant you making a big decision. So what did you have to decide?
Yeah, I thought, actually, this is my real chance to stand up and make some noise, I suppose. And it's a conversation that I'd been having over the past, few months leading up to that, but hadn't quite imagined what the outcome would be like. And so, yeah, I decided that I was going to fully come out, and tell everyone. Yeah, so they work on the anti-bullying side of things.
Being open changed everything. It's the same type of discovery Prince Harry made for himself. She admits she didn't know much about him before, but now there is pride in that voice.
He'd recently done like a HIV test in the UK, which was groundbreaking as well, like a member of the royal family just strutting into a hospital and getting a HIV test, like insane.
Looking back, what does she think of all that time she was holding her hard secret close?
I don't know if it was worth living all that time in isolation and just not being able to talk about something and just sort of being able to step into who I really am and be comfortable with that.
Stepping out of the shadows, stepping into the full glow seems to be much of what Diana and now her son have done for themselves first and for others along the way. And Prince Harry seems acutely aware it's work unfinished. Back at the Mildmay HIV clinic, there is a subtlety it would be easy to miss, the simple frosting on the glass. The patients want that because they're still afraid of being spotted in here, of being judged unfairly. It is slow, steady work to chip away at that, but the prince seems determined.
He actually did say he's got a sell-by day, in a way. He wants to do as much as he can while he's still got the power to, publicise or break down the stigma.
The clock ticks. Prince William's children will soon grow to have their own causes to champion. They'll be the ones drawing the light. So Harry is a prince in a hurry, aware and grateful for all he's found after all he's lost.
The essence of Diana will be felt at this wedding in many ways, and that's already started with the engagement ring.
The main stone itself are sourced from Botswana, and the little diamonds either side are from my mother's jewelry collection to make sure that she's with us on this crazy journey together.
Then there's the venue. St. George's Chapel will be decked out in white roses, a favorite bloom of Diana's. The flowers were used extensively in her memorial garden at Kensington Palace, which opened last year. And that's where Harry and Meghan posed for pictures the day their engagement was announced. The guest list is packed with Diana's relatives, including her siblings, Earl Charles Spencer, Lady Jane Fellows, and Lady Sarah McCorquodale. In fact, Lady Jane will give a reading at the ceremony. And the rumors abound that Meghan will wear the Spencer family tiara as the something borrowed. It's the very one Diana chose for her own wedding day.